China realizes that it is on a weak footing as far as consumption is concerned. Okay? Unless consumption goes up, what will it do with its markets? See this video, you'll get an idea.
The US-China trade war has kicked off. Just look at these containers piling up on the docks. These are all waiting to be exported. This footage was taken on April 11th by a Douyin user in Zhejiang at a local port. It's not just Zhejiang. In recent days, major export hubs along China's coast, including Guangdong, Shanghai, and even Hong Kong, have seen freight operations come to a near standstill. Ports in these areas are now filled with containers waiting to be shipped. The 145% tariff imposed by the United States on Chinese goods has officially taken effect, triggering severe disruption across China's export supply chain. According to Chinese financial outlet Caixin, at Shanghai's Yangshan and Waigaoqiao ports, many shipments bound for the U.S. were rushed onto vessels in a race to depart before the tariffs were enforced. But after the U.S. announced a 125% tariff, Shanghai's once busy export activity came to a sudden stop within days. By April 10th, almost no cargo ships bound for the U.S. could be seen. Reports say many cargo ships and freight flights between China and the U.S. have been canceled. Containers that missed the shipping deadline are now stuck at dockside.
Right, so cargo shipping has been hit, air cargo has been hit. All this goes against China. Their shipping, after all, they control a lot of shipping and they control a lot of container. So it's just not those items which have not gone, even the other shipping they get already it's taken a hit. They know it. And that is why they've gone heavily on the internet to sell their items directly. Right? Okay. Now, what they've come out with is that these are the things. This is all 48 hours. They want to pivot to the home market. Okay. So they are using their e-tailers, online shopping portal to sell within. Okay. But there's a problem there. There's a huge problem in this whole story. Now, as per this thing, Hainan is holding a major consumption expo. But who's going to come? They don't know. They're very this thing. Now, local authorities are launching additional measures to encourage domestic consumers to open their wallets. This I saw today, just about half an hour back. The local government is telling everyone, please buy. I don't know how they're going to strengthen people's confidence and willingness to spend. Just look at it. You've seen that those containers are piled up. If those containers are piled up, those factories will not function. If the factory doesn't function, I'll not have money. If I don't have money, I'm a factory worker. Why am I going to spend? And how will I spend? So they are already in that catch-22 situation. And here the government comes and says go. And they're giving subsidized interest rates. Okay? And subsidized interest rates on loans. It's not free money. There's no stimulus. Yesterday also I said China is not giving stimulus. China is giving loans to people. So a chap who doesn't have money, they're saying you take more money and you buy fridge and all that. And they're not only that, each resident in a province can take 2 loans for 2 items. So in a household of say 4, father, mother, and there's whichever way, 3 or 4, or I will say 3, right? 3. So they are pushing 6 items per household. That's the logic. Okay, and they have also launched a special campaign to export premium products abroad, and even to Chinese consumers. Now, who will buy a premium product there? There are Chinese who will buy, but I'm talking about the Aam Janta. No way. Okay. Now, this latest plan, which they have said, if you see, is not so latest. That's also a couple of months old, a month old maybe. They came out with a 30-point plan to boost consumption. I did a program on that. Well, let my 30-point toolkit lift consumption in China. So what I'm going to do is have a look at it tomorrow, all of you. I'll, with this consumption bit, I'll put it in that and you can see it through. In that, I've explained with Mr. Sri Iyer what are the problems for China and in this toolkit. Because fundamentally, this toolkit has nothing. It offers nothing to the Chinese chap to tell him to consume. So that's the story of consumption. Have a look at it and take a call for yourself. And when we get back tomorrow, we can discuss it.
Namaskar. What is this new 30-point toolbox of China? General Ravi Shankar has done some research on it, and he's going to be giving us a quick in-depth look at what is this new formula that China is coming up with and whether it will be effective and what exactly is the problem with China. Let's welcome General Ravi Shankar. General Ravi Shankar, namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel. How are you, sir?
Namaskar and thanks a lot for this invite. And I mean, for me, it's very nice to do a morning show in India and of course a late night show in USA.
Yes, and we want General to like this time slot, viewers. So please, as soon as you see this thing, like, because this is something that's fresh off the press. Literally, General Ravi Shankar has scraped many sites in Mandarin and other flavors of Chinese to give us a slide deck that's very compelling. So let me not kill the whole thing. I just have a curiosity question, General Ravi Shankar. ये जो आयुर्वेदिक जड़ी बूटियों से बना संपूर्ण स्वदेशी फॉर्मूला 30-point toolkit, what is it, sir?
Look, you're talking of Sampurna Swadeshi formula. This is not neither Sampurna nor Swadeshi. It is a hodgepodge. It's a Chinese porridge and it smells. Okay, let me put it at the outset. Look, we all know that this Chinese economy is hemorrhaging. It's in a bad shape. Generally what we have learned over the past few years is, a lot of China is hyped up. The richest country in the world, number one position, GDP going up, all that is gone. But still the hype is there. Military, technology, EVs, solar vehicles, this, that, all that nonsense is there. The general impression which we get is China is going places. But internally, China is hollow. And I make this statement very seriously. It's hollow. Na jadi hai, na booty hai. वो भी है नहीं. And and this came out in the last two sessions. Two sessions is their annual parliamentary come budget session. They have it once in a year. It happened last week, 10 days back. And there, if you see the internal thing of this whole story, this is what comes out. It's in a bad shape. So, and one of the biggest problems of China is they don't consume. Okay. And why they don't consume? All of us consume. All of us are consuming economies. The democracies generally, India, USA, Japan, Korea, we're all consuming economies. Whereas China is not a consuming economy, it's an investing economy. It's never been consuming. And why they don't consume? There are historical factors and there are other factors. And those factors won't go away. But China desperately wants people to consume. The way I look at it, China built ghost cities. Now they're going to start ghost consumption. They might be producing something and the state might be buying it back to show the figures. I mean, that's how desperate I think China is. And in just after the two sessions, they've come out with a plan, a 30-point plan to, rev up their economy and boost demand and consumption and all that. What we'll do, sir, is that I'll just outline those 30-point plan because it came out yesterday actually. So I went into it and I'll give you my views, and I'm very clear about my views on this. So can we have the slides so that we can put it? Yeah, this is it. Yesterday, this came out. China unveiled a 30-point toolbox to lift consumption, and Xi Jinping is praying कि भैया ये 30 पॉइंट तो हैं, कुछ तो काम करे so that we can my consumption increases. But look, at the end of the day, what are this entire thing? I can put it in 3 words. One is larger pensions for people, better medical facilities, and higher wages. That's the crux. Can China do this? That's the question. Okay, having said that, let me go. I put them in different formats. The 30-page thing, if you see 30 points, if you put it out, it goes out of our mind. So there are measures which to boost demand. That is, they're trying to lower childcare costs. They're trying to improve support for senior citizens. Okay, they're stabilizing the stock and property markets. That's the trial attempt. How they will do is no one knows. They're ensuring small businesses get paid. And I'll say why all this is happening. They want, in the supply side, they want more foreign investment. I mean, just think, there's no foreign investment coming into China. In fact, it's running away. It's all fallen off a cliff. They want auto-related consumption to go up. They want more consumption creating activities. What these consumption creating activities is not there, but it's one of the points. They're using popular buzzwords, but silver economy, ice and something like that, or funny things. You know how Chinese are. But what do they mean? No one knows. It's not there. There are new measures cracking down on unreasonable business practices, promoting animation, online gaming, and esports. Just think. You want to promote consumption by gambling? Okay. And tapping into artificial intelligence. Again, how this will promote the economy, I don't know. So far, artificial intelligence has not promoted consumption. Okay. If I give you artificial intelligence, will you go and buy a car? I mean, that's the long and short of it. But it's a catch-22 situation. This is something I want you to understand, and then we'll have a conversation about it, and then we'll go ahead. In this, most of these measures, it's the local governments or the provincial governments which have to issue out payments or increase subsidies to people in need. Who are the people in need? We don't know. And they are the ones who have to increase the pension benefits. The local governments have to pay all the debts which these chaps own or they have. There's no money which is being given by Xi Jinping and the central government to the provinces. And the funny part is that the local governments, which are supposed to do all this, don't have money in the first place because property has collapsed. Okay. Their only source of income was property, land sale. That has gone. Now, we can take the slides out. We'll have a discussion and get back to the thing. Yeah. Just think for a start. Okay, let me take Mr. Sri Ayer's example. Okay, we'll understand it best, and I'll ask him questions and he'll answer me. Okay, Mr. Sri Ayer is living in China or USA, wherever, and he has a first-class company, media company, which beams channels all over, making money. So there's a lot of money he made. So he bought 4 Teslas, 5 houses, bought shares in Baidu and whatever, and living happily ever after. Till one day, Xi Jinping shut his media business down. Okay. So and he can't open it. So what does Sri Ayer do? Let me ask Sri Ayer. What will you do?
Sir, I would have an early warning system, so I would at least try and save 2 or 3 houses.
So look, all that has failed. Xi Jinping didn't give you, unfortunately. So what do you do?
It's a very,
Okay,
very
so
tough situation.
yeah, it's a tough situation. See, now the moment I put it individually, it becomes a tough situation, isn't it?
Very true.
I mean,
Yeah.
okay, so what does Sri Iyer do? He says, business तो गया, ठीक है, मेरे पास 2-3 गाड़ी है, 4-5 houses I have. I'll put it on rent, and 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 then continue life. I'll get rent out of that. Maybe I'll sell one off, right? And I have 2 more flats which are being made. वो जब हो जाएगा, value increase हो जाएगा. This is my plan, no? But my fundamental source of income has gone one. So I have to live on the rest of the things. And of course, Shreyer is old. He's past retirement age. You are part 60. So you are in that silver
Elite
economy.
group.
Okay. I'm personalizing it for a good reason. So Shreyer says, I'll do a small job somewhere. I'll go work in a store. So Sri Iyer, who was earning, every year something like $200,000-$300,000, suddenly he's come down to getting, maybe $1,000 a week max in a store. Am I right? So then what does Sri Iyer do after that? He'll sell off one of his houses. But in the meantime, the property has collapsed completely. So if the property has collapsed, Shreya's value has gone down. And he's got his cars, he'll say, okay, here car to I can't sell. Even the car market has gone down. So out of 4 cars he has, he'll sell 2 cars. And then he'll say, okay, I can't live in a big house anymore. I'll go to a small house. So, and he wants to sell this big house which he has. Again, that value has gone down. And then he's taken debt. After all, if you want 2 houses more and you've taken debt for your house, those new houses, and you're paying mortgage on those. In China, it's like this: you take a debt, and the debt full payment is made to the builder. That was what happened long back. Okay, and Sri Iyer is still paying debt mortgage on that house, which he has not got, which he'll not get because his property has collapsed. That builder has run away. He went and put money in Evergrande. Now, what is Sri Iyer going to do? Will he buy a fridge or a new car or a new house? Let me ask Sri Iyer again. Will you?
General Ravi Shankar, the only thing that I can think of in all these things is you have to identify something that will withstand any kind of emergency and should have saved for it before all this happened. I don't know if Sri Iyer had that sagacity or not.
Okay. So, Sri Iyer did do that. He after all he put money in shares. But unfortunately, those shares which he bought 5 years back are now down.
Yeah.
So he's got some money in the bank. Okay. Now comes the deal. So Sri Iyer is in the state where he's got money in the bank. His shares are down. His property is down. He is paying mortgages. He's lost his job. He's lost his empire. And he just has, he's living hand to mouth. Suddenly here comes the government and says, partner, you do trade-in of your car. Okay, what is trade-in? So you give your old car and buy a new car. The next guy comes and says, oh, you do trade-in of your AC.
Your fridge next. Yeah.
Fridge, whatever. So will Sri Iyer do it? Yeah, let me ask you.
No, it's very difficult to do it when you don't have any new money coming in. You would guard it with all your health. Sir, to some extent, sir, General Ravi Shankar, today we are living this kind of life in India, in the United States also. In the United States also, we are living this kind of life. Normally, right, see what happens is 5-10 years, your AC goes for. and your heater goes. So I don't change any of these things unless the thing has completely lost its life.
Gone.
If there is any life I can breathe into it by changing a part here or putting Freon into it to make the AC work again, I do all these things. So this is very true of even in United States too. Please continue, sir. It's a problem.
Really, if it's true in United States, why won't it be true in China?
Absolutely, yes,
Uh,
yes.
And in a place like China, okay. So now here's the. Can we have the slides back? Yeah. Uh, and now I'll get to how it is. Right. Look at this slide. This is the Chinese model. I made this model 3 years back, and I've shown it to many people. The fundamental at the bottom is the demography of China, which is very weak. We all know it's going down. And I'll show you the discussion which has happened on this a little later. And then the climate change. Climate change is hitting China badly, and that's not discussed at all. I don't see that discussion. One of the biggest hits China is going to have in future is climate change. But at the forefront, what we hear, which is in red, we hear of diplomacy, Xi Jinping doing that, this, that. वो भी गया आजकल. No one is bothered about China. The other two things are holding: technology and military. Military is going up. Everything China talks of AI, talks of EV, talks of deep seek and this seek and that seek. Big. Everyone thinks. But what about the middle, which is the one which is holding the wall up? The private sector was broken. Now Xi Jinping in a panic has gone back to the private sector. Ki bhai, bacha lo mere ko. And I did this last week. 10-15 days back, I said, Xi is panicked and gone back to the private sector. Consumption. Now Xi Jinping is praying. कि भाई कुछ तो हो जाओ, मेरा डेड ड्रैगन खड़े हो जाओ. वो तो गया. Real estate, there is no way it can come up. And this is not what I say. This is what everyone says. And these chaps want to stabilize the property market. How will they stabilize the property market? Who will finish those buildings? This is where I keep saying, and it is now coming true. What all I have said in the past 3 years about China is now coming true. You build a house. See, Sri Iyer can't, go that house. Those two houses which Sri Iyer has invested in won't give him food to eat. He can't sell it. No one is taking. Even if he gets a rent out of it, it is at half rate. No one is interested. Rents have gone down. Why rents have gone down? Because there are other Sri Iyer sitting in that house who's lost his job. He also can't pay you rent. Okay. So this Sri Iyer had enough money, as simple as that. Why? Jobs, I have already said, now there are, for every Sri Iyer who wants to go and do a job, there are 20 other Sri Iyers who say, I'll do it at half rate. In China, there's a phenomenon where people are not over 35 are not being hired.
Right.
Okay. Food insecurity is rampant in China, which we don't know. We don't understand because there's no one in the rural areas. They have come to 70% urbanization. That whole huge land, only 30% people are there. And who are there? Old people. They're not growing anything which can satisfy their thing. Yeah, they'll still say that we are the highest growers of wheat, all that. But their fundamental thing is food insecurity. Infrastructure. We all know how many trains they have made, and those trains are not running. And if they are running, they're running at loss. How long will they run at loss? Exports, yes, their exports are booming, but there's no profit out of that. That's the funny part. Their exports are not giving profits to them because there is intense competition. Cutthroat competition between firms in China today. Healthcare, the lesser said, the better. So this is the model, and this model I have had no reason to change in the past 3 years. I mean, this is how it is. Now let's look at a few issues. Consumption. All this thing which they have done is for consumption. See the consumption in China. vis-a-vis other countries. Okay, and this is the least. China is not a consuming economy; it's an investment and a manufacturing economy. Now, to make this investment and manufacturing economy to consume is the worst thing, which I mean, most difficult thing, because for over years you have conditioned Chinese people not to eat or consume. Today, because you can't export, there are geopolitical problems. Geopolitically, no one is going to allow you these exports. No one is going to allow dumping. That's now very clear. The biggest market, India, with which you have fought 2 years back, 3 years back, you wanted to invade and do your border and all that nonsense. Nothing is now. India says, "Get lost here. Don't come to me." Yesterday only, I did a program on the Chinese way, how they are doing the male woolen dragon. They're speaking to us in a folk tongue. They can't export to Europe. They can't export to USA. Tariff. Trump है ना हमारा दोस्त. So this is where they are, the worst of the consumption, and they're not able to boost it. This is, and see they want consumption to go up. And this is what Xi Jinping says. He says, to promote common prosperity, we cannot engage in welfareism. In the past, high welfare in populist Latin American countries fostered a group of lazy people who got something for nothing.
Venezuela.
As a result, their national finances were overwhelmed, and these countries fell into the middle income trap for a long time. Once welfare benefits go up, they cannot come down. It is unsustainable to engage in welfareism that exceeds our capabilities. It will inevitably bring about serious economic and political problems. If welfareism is not done, how will consumption go up? See, can we take it off? We'll have a discussion.
This is sort of like a catch-22, isn't it?
Yeah. That's what I said. No, catch-22. Yeah. Now that you use the word, let me go back to that.
Yes.
Yeah, this is it. There's no money. And Xi Jinping wants the local governments to spend. He is not giving them. They don't have money. Precisely the catch-22. Yeah, thank you. We'll take this slide off now. Let's. Now I'm sure people will understand what I'm talking much better. Okay. So the fact is that Xi Jinping politically doesn't promote welfareism. Unless welfareism is there, consumption won't take place. If money is put in, unless Sri Iyer gets money in his hand, why will he spend? And the good chances, let me ask you. Let me ask Sri Iyer again. You are in the situation where you are. 2 mortgages. You have your only safe thing is the bank. Shares are down. Yeah. Your Teslas are okay. You can run life with it. And you can get by in life with the $1,000 you're getting at the local store, convenience store, working as a storeman. Now the government says, okay, I'll give you some money. What will you do with that money? Will you spend it?
I would I would hold it with my life. I would hold it with my life.
See, this is what will happen.
Kal ka kya bharosa?
The next catch-22 with China is, if China puts money in the hands of people, that money will go into the bank. Now you are understanding what I'm talking, all this nonsense. Because for these questions which we are raising, there are no answers. There are no answers in China. Right? Okay. Now, every plan has to have a budget, isn't it? We budget everything. Governments have a budget. Corporations
Families have a budget, sir.
Families have a budget.
We have no choice.
There's no choice. Okay. So let's now see the budgets. Have a look at it. Please, sir. Can I have the slide back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Sir.
This is the budget in the recent 2 sessions. They're spending science and technology 8.3%, education 6.1%, military 7.2%, internal security 7.2%, healthcare and social welfare 5%. The least, where they have the biggest problem. And then futuristic goals at the cost of providing help to Chinese citizens struggling to make ends meet. All this nonsense. So where do you think China is going with this kind? See this catch 22? He wants consumption, but there's no budget for that. And there's no budget, and the budget is shifted to state governments which who don't have money in the first place. They are already in debt. Just think the state governments are in debt, individuals are in debt. And the debt delinquency in China is very high. All those figures I'm not putting, because that will be this thing. So now I'll flash through a few things from China. They're all from China. There's local level debt, which all these show. Okay, there is an imbalanced industrial structure happening. For long, China said we want common prosperity. Everyone should prosper. Now that has been left in the recent 2 sessions. 2 words have not come into anywhere. One is common prosperity. No one spoke of common prosperity. Second, no one spoke of BRI. The BRI was your flagship program, isn't it? But it didn't appear in 2 sessions at all. And then common prosperity, which was so this thing. Now Xi Jinping wants those provinces which are doing well. He says, please do better. Forget about the ones which are behind. So there's going to be imbalance. There are population outflows. Population is shifting in China. There's migration happening in China already. There is no way, there is no mention of how to balance this out. One, people from poorer areas are trying to get into the richer areas. They'll crowd it and finish that off. And then people who have a lot of money are leaving China with money. They know how to live. I mean, they completely know how to live. For all I know, half of San Francisco would have been bought up by now by Chinese who want to live.
Yeah, sir, I have been saying this for a long time, General Ravi Shankar. I have been saying this for a long time. Yeah. I've been saying this for a long time. Bay Area, you go to any strip mall, General Ravi Shankar, small things, not the big ones. Big ones are in bigger trouble. That is a real estate developers of US who are now finding out that Amazon is eating not only their lunch but breakfast and dinner too. So that is a bigger problem. But if you look at all the strip malls where you will find like salon, hair cutting saloon, takeout food, Asian Chinese, things of that nature, all these things are owned by people from mainland China. And if you need any renegotiation or if you want to get any rental agreement going, right, they'll always give you a number in San Francisco. That person will speak broken English, but enough to tell you that he has to go talk to his boss in China and get back to you in 24 hours. Same story at like 10 different places I tried 5 years ago. 5 years ago, not now.
Now it would be even worse.
It's worse, yeah.
Worse. Okay. Now let's get back to the thing. The property is struggling. These are all clippings which I've shown. High-end rental market struggles. Rental market is struggling. That's what I told. Shreya can't pay his rent. Or people who are staying in Shreya's flat, which is not yet built or built, they can't pay. Okay. Middle class investors are losing appetite for overseas property also. This is what it says.
Yeah.
Unemployment. China's job seekers are facing labor problems, and 2025, you see businesses are pulling back on hiring already. Gig workers, they're talking of gig workers. Okay, they're giving gig work. What is it? Acha, theek hai yaar, tum jaake na, you do some gig thing like become a driver for Swiggy or Piggy or whatever it is. So that's the kind of training you are getting. Oh, there is deflation. This is from Guancha. And Guancha is a Mandarin portal. I've converted it and shown. Okay. prices fell in February. The operative thing which caught my eye was prices fell in February. And when you see that graph down below, you see the sharp decline here. These are
Right.
prices. So prices are continuously falling in China. You see the trend lines. When a country is in deflation, how do you get out of it? It has to collapse. Somewhere this GDP has to contract. Somewhere this has to collapse. It is imminent. Okay. The consumer price index has fallen. Their annual inflation control targets are gone down because it will never reach there. There's no inflation. They need inflation. It's not happening.
General Ravi Shankar, if you don't have inflation, all your financial models start collapsing.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
You actually telling me what I was to tell. You're inferring from what I'm saying. This is a normal way, isn't it?
Right.
Okay. Banks have lowered deposit rates. Why? Very simple. If you keep going on putting money in the bank has to pay you. And no one is taking from the bank. So where does the bank earn? So there are rate cuts. And despite the rate cuts, ever for the past 3 years, I've been only hearing of China doing rate cuts. Before that, I never heard. Before that, I never heard of rate cuts in China. Okay. Tourists. This is a very nice story to explain what I've been trying to say. People were going from one place to the other. Okay. So they were made to stop at one shopping mall in between and said, you bloody well buy something for some amount. Otherwise, you can't go. And outside in the snow, hail, whatever. कि भाई you आगे पास में बैठना है तो पहले खरीदो और फिर जाओ. This is what he says. See, tourists said they were forced to stop and the bus stopped in no man's land on a snowy day. This is English, the Chinese English. And this comes in a national portal. It comes in a national portal because there are other things happening like this.
Right.
This is another interesting. Why are many 5-star hotels closing down recently? Why? Look at this.
General Ravi Shankar, this is a phenomenon post-COVID. Definitely.
Yeah. I'm not saying no. From 2020 to now, from 850, it's now down to 736. And this is all Chinese news, by. This is from Chinese sources. So how will all this get reversed by Mr. Xi Jinping? I mean, I don't know. This is a thing on pensions, all this, based on the discussion in 2 sessions, which happened recently. I told you. What does he say? This is about old age people. He says there are greater than 300 million old age people for the first time. Rural elderly people are more than 100 million. Now the thing is, the rural old age people get a pension of 200 yuan. How much is 200 yuan?
$30.
Yes, thank you. So people in old China who are living in the villages get 200 yuan or $30. And that's it. Now they're trying to increase it to 600 yuan. भैया पहले आप 200 नहीं दे सकते थे, अभी 600 दोगे. So, where you see the questions they are asking for themselves. This is the important point. By 2035, can China achieve the average monthly basic pension of 600 yuan for urban and rural residents? There are no answers. How to balance the contradiction between rising rural pensions and economic burden of the local government? Because rightly this fellow asked that question. Addition to adjusting the pension issue, what other suggestions are beneficial for rural old age care? Because there's nothing, zero. He says 44 million are semi-disabled, disabled, and demented and elderly people. But there's a shortage of nursing staff in China. See, what happens in China with all these old people, geriatrics is their business. But the fact is, we should understand what is happening in China. Okay. Then he says the problem of taking care of elderly persons. So, how do you take care of elderly parents? So, give them paid leave. Now, the fertility rate, all this is spoken in these articles in Chinese. He says the fertility rate has dropped to 1.0. Annual births only 9 million, which is the least since 49. Third thing is very interesting. Cost of raising children is 6.3 times the per capita GDP. In the most developed countries, the cost of raising thing is not more than 2 or 3 compared to India. He says a great obstacle to many young families' fertility. Naturally, who will have a child? Can subsidies save China's fertility rate? All this is part of 2 sessions, which has not been reported in the Western press. All this they've discussed. No answers. That's why people are discussing in public. And then they come out with this great 30-day thing. He says it's necessary to improve the income level of ordinary people. Now, many people complain that it is difficult to raise themselves. Where does the courage come from them to get married and have children? It's useless for people who don't have money to subsidize hundreds and rich people who don't care about you subsidizing hundreds. See what he's saying in the end. So what does Sri Iyer do? He's got one child who can't support himself. Will that child come and help Sri Iyer? It won't happen, isn't it? And then he says individuals in society have inconsistent views on having children. The society wants more children. The individual doesn't want to have. These are the discussions which are happening. And they come out with this 30-point formula. See, these are what you had said. Post-pandemic, China sealed itself off from the world. The number of commercial flights into China have reduced. There are restrictions on access to archives, interviews, subjects, EAO, all that. China's economy is slowing. It's not just slowing. It's being closed off. There is a zealous guarding and systematic manipulation of sensitive data. There's no sign of a successor. So there is political problems ahead. I mean, let's not have doubts about it. So if suppose Xi Jinping dies tomorrow or is removed tomorrow, who will come in? There's going to be a political problem in China. If there's a political problem in China, you think all this consumption will go up? This 30-point plan? China has not produced a white paper on defense since 2019. But yet, the CCP firmly believes that it is rightful destiny to reclaim its historical position as the hegemon of the world order and then convert the whole world to Marxism. Thank you. We can take this off. So this is what the story is. In all this 30-point plan which has come out, there is no clear way I can see where Sri Iyer will go and buy his next car or his next house. Unless Sri Iyer can tell me. You tell me, sir.
General Ravi Shankar, I may be a bit of an outside case here, but what I did was, the last 6-7 years now, I've been doing this, working from home and also coming to India. If I take a trip, I take a major trip, right? I'm just giving a personal example. I'm not saying everybody will do this.
Yeah.
But I had a car, which was a luxury car, but the car had miles on it, got 150,000 miles, which is about 280 or so. Multiply by 1.6 to get the number in kilometers. That many miles. Okay, in US, because the roads are pretty decent, it doesn't matter. But what happens is, once you cross that point, your transmission gives up, your engine gives up.
Yeah.
So I had the transmission changed twice. And changing transmission is not easy. You're not going to buy a new transmission. That's too expensive. So you go and look at a car that is already damaged, take out just the cannibalizing, take out just the transmission, check it out, make sure that it is worthy. And then there is a company in US, Amco Transmissions, that will certify a transmission for you. And you can give them the whole contract saying, I want a certified transmission for this particular model. And like that, I did it twice. I changed the engine once. And finally, after 275,000 miles, the car just gave up. I got tired of doing this transmission changing, engine changing. The car was wonderful. It was a Lexus with leather interiors, CD system perfect, AC was working, cruise control was working, everything was working. See, what I'm trying to say is, because for my specific needs, I wasn't doing much driving around in the city except to do some local errands. Only thing I would do is go fly to airport to go to India. So in my case, I could stretch it for 6-7 years. But why did I do all that stuff? Because I felt that there was no need to invest in a new car. See, this is, I can afford to invest in a new car. I could have done this $100 payments or $200, whatever it is. I could have done all that. See, I'm being safe. I don't want to take on another new loan when I don't have to. I say, chalti ka naam gaadi. That is Indian mindset. I'm sure Chinese mindset is exactly the same. Yeah.
You tell me who is not in that. And you think all this consumption, this Chinese will change? I mean, you've seen what thing? You've seen the 30-point plan, which I've reduced it to a 9-point or 11-point plan. And I've shown you how the whole structure is. You think it will succeed? Let me ask you this question.
Actually, this is going to make people hoard the money more. Whatever money comes into their hand, they will try to want to see how they can, consolidate their financial position. That's what they'll be the first instance. Yeah. That'll be the first instance. Second thing is how to become self-sufficient with the money you got. So you're not dependent on somebody else. Everything, including maybe finding a way to cook food for yourself, grow food for yourself. Everything the people want to do that. That's where I think this is going to be.
Yeah. So now look, we are looking at a China which is increasingly going bankrupt within. The people are bankrupt. That's very clear. And I'm not saying this. I showed you Chinese, people saying this. Internally weak, externally it is very strong. Military, technology, all those. That's the thing which we get. Now we are in a dangerous position here. Every country which has this thing between the external position and the internal position, what will it do? To get markets, to get money, to feed its people, and to continue. See, the thing is, the CCP has to continue in power. The true choice is the way I look at it in front of CCP. If the people are not happy with their way of life, and that contract between CCP and the people gets broken, then there's revolution in China. There's political chaos in China. If that happens for the next 10 years, forget about China. Forget about their manufacturing. The world will have to look something different. People are hoping that it will not happen, but I don't discount it. That's the way I look at it. The second thing is CCP is stable. It can still hold China together. It can control the people. But to make people happy, it has to give money to them. Where will it get money from? It has to go to war. Because geopolitically, no one is interested in China anymore. China is not the most favored destination of people. I mean, maybe about 6-7 years back, I thought, let's go and see Great Wall of China. I wouldn't go there as a tourist today. I don't know who will go there. But let me ask you, how many of your friends who are in states want to go back into China or invest into China or look at China and all that? Let me ask you this.
Things have come down drastically, General Ravi Shankar, since COVID, because US was very clear in its mind that it was China that originated this COVID, and people have basically shunned China, especially because as soon as they quarantined Wuhan, and their own population from Wuhan could not go to other parts of China, whereas they allowed any foreign national sitting in Wuhan to fly out to their country. So there was a method to this madness.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt.
So people just don't even think about China. If you ask me frankly, people are not even wanting to land in Hong Kong anymore. Everybody is doing an end run around it. They just don't even want to get close to that.
So that's where we are. So this 30-point formula toolkit. If there's a hammer in the toolkit, Xi Jinping can take that hammer and hit his head. There's nothing else he can do. Or, if he's got some screws loose, he can drive it himself. I don't think this will work. But there'll be a lot of song and dance about it. You'll see in days to come, there'll be people who will come and justify how China can revive itself, when it has not done so for the past 10 years. And I keep making this prediction. China's turning point will be around 2030. That is when all its effort to rev up its economy will fail. One. Second, you will find India by then has grown stronger. It will happen. I mean, these are certainties. And third, Chinese population will come to a stage of inflection where its aging will show up, its lack of working hands will start showing up between 30 to 35. If that is the case, till then, China will keep up with the propaganda, the Chinese communists will keep up with the propaganda and all that. And these next 4-5 years are critical for India. The other 4-5 years, we should expect strife from China. Okay. And this is what yesterday also in my talk, where yesterday, I would like to tell all viewers, yesterday evening I did a program on the Chinese analysis of India-China relations and how it is, right? And I said, China is trying to kneecap India. Kneecap means Hindi mein gutne tod do, so that India doesn't progress. I would suggest all of you to see that and this together. And soon I'll put it out in P Guru's also, that analysis of mine. I've taken views of the India watchers in China and analyzed it. So see both and you'll get your own results or your own ideas. Right? I've done Shreyaji, so if we can, unless you have anything to say. Yes.
Actually, I am seeing some signs of this in India also. For example, Revdi, these freebies that you are giving, for doing no work, you are getting money. That is not good, because I'll tell you already this is happening. Strains are showing. Metro in Hyderabad is running under loss. Metro in Chennai is running under loss. And no brownie points of guessing the third metro that is running under loss, Bengaluru. And you know why all these three are running under loss? Because all these three states have implemented free rides for women.
Yeah, even in the buses.
In buses. But then the thing is, why would somebody go and pay 70 rupees a ticket for a metro when you can go free in a bus, sir? That is the mindset. India has a value mindset.
So, well, that's something which we'll see as we go down the line.
Yeah. And then complain that the center is not giving enough funds. You're stealing blind from TASMAC, the one place where you actually get money. You're stealing blind. You're not even reporting the actual sales and salting money away through Hawala means, through drug runners, through Kurvi, they call them. And then you complain that the center is not giving you enough money. This is DMK I'm talking about. I'm sure Karnataka will see the same dirge. Same thing will Telangana also will do the same dirge, because all of them are opposition parties. They know that they have nothing else to show except give more freebies.
But then there's a flip to it, so we'll not get involved with it, because this is what the center is also. Look, that's a center-state relationship in India that will get sorted out.
Right.
Okay, that I'm very sure things will. But let's talk of. Is there anything else you want we talk of?
No,
China?
I think I'm done. There are some questions, a lot of
Yeah,
interesting comments also. Let's take some questions now.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just trying to forewarn that we are headed the same way. India also, because the population is really, really big. So we had some AI caricatures of Xi Jinping.